Hello everybody. Today we are going to discuss the second chapter of your novel, that is Mr. Teddy Henfrey's First Impressions. So this Mr. Teddy Henfrey is the new character for you, that is, he is a clock jobber. That means a person who repairs clocks. So at 4 o'clock he enters Coach and Horses Inn, and of course the atmosphere was quite chilly and snowy, and he entered crying like this, my sacks, this atmosphere is quite chilly for thin boots. And when Mr. Hall saw him that he was having a bag with him, she said that I think that as you have brought your bag with you, then if you could repair the clock in my parlor. So he said okay, and Mrs. Hall took him to that stranger's room. Now the stranger was dozing when she entered the room, so first she rapped, and without waiting for the permission she entered. And when they entered, the room was dimly lit. There was no light except the glow of the fire which was there in the fireplace, and the stranger was in a sleepy condition. So when he heard the sounds of their entering the room, he at once woke up, and Mrs. Hall at that time was kind of dazed and shocked because she saw a kind of cavity there at the lower portion of his face. It was something like a hollow is there, something as if had swallowed the lower part of his face. So it was something like, and she was shocked. But at once then he got up and covered his face with a hanky, with a serviette like thing. And then Mrs. Hall said that I thought you would like the clock to be repaired, and that's why I have brought him here. So first he said, yes, definitely I would like the clock to be repaired. And he also a bit of chided her, saying that I think this room is mine, you understand, it is for my private use, my personal use, and I shouldn't be disturbed like this again and again. Mrs. Hall apologized, yes, but I thought that you would like this clock to be mended. So he said, of course, sure, I would. And before this, when that Teddy Henfrey saw him annoyed, he was going to apologize, but when he said yes, sure, it is well that you have brought him to repair the clock, I would definitely like this clock to be mended. So he simply greeted the stranger, Teddy Henfrey, and he started his work. And Mr. Hall, the stranger also mentioned that you must know that I am an experimental investigator, and I don't like this kind of disturbances again and again. And he mentioned about his luggage from Bramblehurst station. He said that I hope you must have arranged for my luggage. He said definitely your luggage will be brought tomorrow. I have asked the postman, so he will arrange a courier and the luggage will be brought from the Bramblehurst station. So he said okay, fine, and I would like a cup of tea as well after this clock mending is over, but not before that. He was quite particular about that. Mrs. Hall left. She didn't strike any further conversation, or she didn't stay there for any further talks with him, because she didn't like to be chided or snubbed before Teddy Henfrey. So leaving Teddy Henfrey to repair the clock, she left the room. And then Mr. Hall, that the stranger, he went to the window and stood there folding his hands like this, and Teddy Henfrey continued his work. Now it was a very petty kind of thing, a very small kind of thing which could be fixed up in a very short while, but he was delaying the thing only because he wanted to know more about him, only because he was quite curious to know more about Mr. Griffin, the stranger. So unduly he was delaying the repairing job. So this annoyed the stranger, And so he waited for some time for him to repair its own, and what he did, Teddy Henfrey took out all the hands and everything, and he felt, after a while he felt the atmosphere quite oppressive, that the man was not talking and it was all silence there, as if Teddy Henfrey were quite alone there. So he thought of striking or starting a conversation, and he started with weather, that I think the weather. And the moment he uttered this, the stranger cut in through, said, I think you should fix up the clock and move away from here, so, and leave my room. So this annoyed Teddy Henfrey, and he at once fixed up the clock and left the room, mumbling and muttering, this ugly man, why couldn't he show up his face, ugly man. And he thought that he must have been involved in some burglary or thievery, otherwise he wouldn't be wrapped up like that. So he moved away. At Gleason's corner he met Mr. Hall, and at Gleason's corner he met Mr. Hall. Mr. Hall ran conveyance for the people of Iping. He took them to Cedar Bridge Junction whenever anybody required or needed. So at that time, Cedar Bridge Junction. At that time he was returning from Cedar Bridge Junction, and Mr. Teddy Henfrey was on his way. So he told him that there is a rum up at your home. Mr. Hall didn't understand that, what he meant by that. So he said, there is a rum-like customer at your home, that means a scoundrel at your home. He explained the thing to Mr. Hall. Mr. Hall came to his home. He was quite suspicious, quite doubtful in nature. So he told Mrs. Hall that you women trust anybody, you don't know about anything, you don't know about him, and you had just given him a room here. So like this he started. So he said that when he brings his luggage from Bramblehurst, you must check the things properly and all. So this annoyed Mrs. Hall, and she said, you mind your own business and I'll mind mine. Now Mrs. Hall didn't pay much attention to his warning. The simple thing was, she was getting money. Though in the night, in her sleep, she dreamt of some turnip-like heads and something fearful, but she didn't even care for that, though she had that fear and apprehension in her mind as well, but she put that fear and apprehension all aside until she was getting money. So that was her nature. So that is the end of your second chapter. So to know about the third chapter, to listen to the details of third chapter, watch the next video. Thank you very much.